You're listening to the Quit Your Job in 6 Months podcast with Buck motherfucking Flogging. Listen carefully as Buck lays down a mesmerizing array of knowledge that can help you quit your job in 6 months or less and pursue your dream as a proud owner of a successful internet enterprise. Got a question for Buck? Go to quitin6.com/ask-buck. That's quit, the letter N, the number 6.com/ask-buck. Now get ready to enjoy the show.
Invincible.
Haps, man.
How you doing, Buck? I'm sorry, I don't know who I should call you, what I should call you.
Let's not confuse people. Let's Buck Flogging is the way to go.
Yes, sir. Oh, I didn't know we were recording. I'm sorry. Mr. Flogging. I'm so sorry.
Hey, man. Thanks for having the courage to be recorded and whatnot.
Hey, no worries.
We're live. I mean, I can edit this out, but I don't want to miss a second of Adam Bailey gold.
Yeah, well, it's tough to find for sure. You got to do a lot of digging.
Cool, man.
A lot of sifting.
Yeah.
Cool, man. I'm excited
folks,
to hear, man. This is awesome.
Cool. I was just going to introduce you a little bit. This is Adam Bailey. He's what's the name of your thing that you're launching? Running Sober?
Yeah, the Running Sober podcast.
And it's a podcast, but do you have other things accompanying that? I mean, we had talked about a book briefly and some other things.
Yeah, well, I have several ideas for books, but I have the main book, first book I want to launch or publish is it's basically my story and what and it'd probably be about 35,000 words. Not a long book, but just basically telling my story of what happened to me and cause I had a really amazing experience that kind of shifted and turned my life around on a dime, and I want to share that. And that was kind of the inspiration for the podcast too, was that whole experience I had. And it didn't include aliens, but it was close, and it was pretty amazing stuff. And so that's the first thing. And then so basically a story about my life, which sounds boring as hell, I'm sure, but at least for me and my audience of 3 or 4 people, hopefully I can change someone's life or inspire someone to get clean and sober and all that. So,
well, if you can charge those 3 or 4 people like $100,000 a piece, then you got yourself a successful business, man.
I knew there was hope, man. I'm so excited.
Well, cool, man. Well, I'm really glad that you have, an inspirational story and background. I mean, that adds so much firepower to everything that you do. And, of course, you have a tremendous sense of humor, which will carry you very far on the internet, as I can speak from experience. That it does help. And it helps not only to make your content or whatever you put out there more entertaining and more likable, but it just builds a lot of trust. I mean, people trust other people when they're relaxed, casual, and they're talking to them and communicating to them like friends.
Right.
And
no, I hear you, man. That's what I love about you and your message too. So.
Yeah, I mean, every friend I've ever had, I mean, at least 75% of the time we're just trying to make each other laugh.
Yeah.
And 75% is probably a little much on the internet, but you could go at least 25%, and your information would be well received. I mean, the vibes I got from you and your sense of humor and whatnot, I feel like your chances of success are much better than average.
Right on, man.
I got hopes for it.
Cool, man. Well, one thing I want to say about the laughing thing and the humor thing is, I had a traumatic experience when I was a kid, and the thing, my mask for the world was trying to make people laugh. And I realized early on that there was only like 1 out of 20, 25 times that someone would actually laugh, because I had a really bad ratio, horrible ratio back then. And sometimes, but that one time was worth it, and it always kept me fired up to, So I might look like an idiot 20 times, but it's that one time that always, one person laughs out of that, it's awesome. So that's been my motivation since I was a little kid.
Well, it makes your communications with other people a lot more fun too. I mean, it's not fun to have dry conversations with people. It's just really not. And if you've already built the fact that you're a little bit of a jokester, then everybody who writes you is writing funny stuff. Like for example, I was always making fun of how I made all these excessive 80s references. And then I got a chance to actually meet a lot of the people that have followed me for a long time in person. And I went to one guy's house and he had an 80s movie queued up on the TV. And he was like, guess what this is? He was trying to test me to see if I knew it. Another guy was rocking a Ghostbusters shirt when I pulled up to his house. It's just cool to connect with people on something that's, kind of light, and they get to know your personality. Make sure you're the personality that you want other people to see you as when, you talk to them or communicate with them in person. It's really important to be authentic and true to yourself, and being funny and light and, having a lot of humor is a great way to do that. So you're already off on the right track, I think.
Right on.
So tell me
good.
about.
I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, go ahead. I want to talk about your strategy and game plan. We've discussed it just a tiny bit in some chats.
Right.
But you got podcasts and what else? And what is your launch strategy for the podcast?
Well, basically, I've been on this podcast for the last 4 months and didn't do anything. And I finally, Julie, she's one of my mentors at the Time Hackers podcast. She featured me on her show, and it kind of got me to make a commitment and to just do it. So it was just, so I don't really have a launch strategy per se. I have another video I'm creating that I'm going to put out this week, another fun kind of video. And I've been doing that because I just love making videos. And basically, and I've got my first 2 interviews ready and my first episode ready, so I'm just going to launch and talk about it. I really, to be honest, I'm a carpenter by trade, and I gave up being a carpenter 2.5 years ago to chase my dream of being a writer and all this other crap. And it got funny pretty quick because I realized I had to get clean and sober before I could even do anything. And I had a lot of issues and a lot of things to clear out of the way. And when I did that, it really helped me a lot to focus. And so I'm coming up next week. I'll have 9 months clean and sober, and I'm just really fresh on putting my ideas together and actually, not in the garage dreaming into my crack pipe or whatever you want to call it, or looking chasing the bottle to try and find my dream. But I'm actually making something happen, but I don't really have a clue as to how that works. I've been looking at, I've been reading, I've got thousands of dollars worth of courses that I haven't looked at, all this horse shit, and I know that there's a strategy, there's this blogging thing I'm supposed to do, and this, I didn't know what a fucking blog was a couple years ago, and I just so much information, I haven't really known what to do. And I started reading your stuff. I've read your books over and over, man. It just makes so much sense because I understand that blogging could work if it makes sense with your business model. But for me, I really don't want to mess with it too much. I mean, I don't mind having my podcast feed on there, and I might do some updates, but more than anything, I'll just follow your lead on the with your books and try and do some guest posting and stuff like that. But the answer is, I guess, I don't really have a clue on what I'm doing, so I'm really grateful to have this opportunity to talk to you and kind of put things into perspective, and hopefully I can buy a clue and get moving on something.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it boils down to efficiency is a big part of it. And, for example, the last call that I recorded with Tiffany Murphy, she has a blog, and she's been blogging for a couple of years, and she's got all these great connections with all these other bloggers because she was part of a network, and she's got, tons and tons of traffic, but she's still not getting very far with it. She has 3,000 email subscribers. 750 people will open an email if she sends one out.
Wow.
But she gets over 100,000 visits to the site every month. It's just crazy. So it just takes a long time. to get there. And even if you do get
Right.
huge traffic, which is rare, I mean, I don't know many people that get that much traffic to their website. It's not easy to do. You can't just snap your fingers and pull it off.
Right.
To still be stuck in the low 1,000s in terms of revenue per month is pretty brutal. And to still be stuck at just 3,000 subscribers, that's kind of like just enough to get started with something, much less, really excel. So anyway, what I like to see people do is form. I want to make sure that they're setting up something that is fairly complete, like a complete business. Okay.
Right. Right.
I see a lot of people basically doing the equivalent of buying a storefront, and then they put, just light bulbs for sale. It's like they got all these shelves, and they just have, one rack with light bulbs, and the rest of the store is empty, and they think that they're going to give that a go and see what happens. And
what kind of light bulbs?
There's just so many. Well, I'm just saying there's just a lot of missed opportunities because they're putting out something that doesn't earn very much money. It's not. I get what you're saying. I'm catching what you're throwing. Cowboy.
Cowboy.
But yeah, these selling things that don't have a very good markup, that don't, people drop $2. Oh, whoop-de-doo. It's not you're gonna have to sell a lot of light bulbs out of that store before you can pay rent and pay this and that. And man, think about all the other things you could have sold to the customers that came walking through the door if you just had those available. Some people might have bought, a light fixture to go with that light bulb, or they might have bought any number of different things. It's good to have.
Right.
It's good to have everything complete, and a lot of people just want to. I just want to start a podcast. Well, it's just not. It's not enough. You need to strategize for a business in which a podcast is a part of that business, and if you do that, it just makes everything that you do so much easier. Because let's say, for example, you start your podcast, but then you have other mechanisms for bringing in email subscribers. You tell your email subscribers about your rapidly growing email subscriber list. You tell them about your podcast. They go check out your podcast. Your podcast is more popular. More people are finding it on iTunes and YouTube if you post it there or wherever. And then they come back and they subscribe at your website. And the thing starts to pick up momentum very, very quickly instead of taking multiple years to reach a point of, decent success. That sort of base survival income. So, I just know so many bloggers that started at ground zero and it took them like 3 years. And it's just too long. It doesn't need to be that long.
Yeah, I've wasted 2.5 years doing nothing, so 6 months is perfect.
That's perfect. You're down to the last 6 months in that 3-year success window.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, and real quick, I wanted to ask you, I'm just curious on, I'm kind of into this thing. Like I said, it's a passion thing. It's, I had a really big thing happen that's propelling me and motivating me to do this. But as a business model, if I look at this whole thing, go, wow, running sober, it's just, and I'm not a pro runner. I'm not even a real runner. I just started running when I got sober, and it just changed my life kind of. And so I'm not an expert, and I'm 9 months sober, and I'm a new guy. And putting this whole thing together, it's is it a viable kind of thing? What's your perspective on that?
Well, it's nice to be the expert at something because you can create a product for sale. I don't think that you have the level of expertise that would give you enough confidence to promote some product of you, some e-course of yours or something like that, where you're being the expert and all that. That's just probably a little bit of a stretch. It'd be nice to have just from a purely business standpoint, but you can't fabricate that. You can't fake it. So
I don't want to.
Yeah, and honestly, the people who I know who are the most successful are not the experts. They're the people who are deferring to the experts. I think of Buck Books as a good example that a lot of people listening are familiar with because that's where a lot of people found me. Buck Books, these authors work really hard and they write a book. And that book sells, and they get 35 cents per download when it's running at 99 cents. And I get 8.5 cents per download by promoting it. And I get to promote, and I promote I promote 5 books every day, and I make 8.5 cents off of every book that's sold the day that it's promoted. So, I'm by not writing the book and just promoting the book, I actually make more money than the person who wrote it, because that person who wrote it they can only make money off of that book and whatever they can write, which is going to be, yes, there's some people who are writing 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 books, but realistically, most people just can't do that. You get too bored. You get too bored with it after a dozen. You run out. It starts to feel like bullshitting your way through a term paper. If you're aiming for that kind of crazy high volume approach. So yeah, I mean they're limited to that. They can only sell that. And if they try to defer to an expert, people are saying, dude, you said this, and this person says this, which contradicts what you say. Why would you promote that? And it just gets messy. It's hard to play the expert and then be Don King, the promoter, as well. And for you can bring in all these interesting people onto your podcast, and you have these great conversations with them. These people are experts. They have stuff for sale. You can talk about that stuff for sale. You can sign up for their affiliate program. You can send people over there, and you can start to get some affiliate commission on this. And it really works. Like I said, some of the most successful people I know, that's exactly what they did. Here's another thing I'll throw at you that brings to mind. Podcasts are great. But where I've seen people be the most successful is with online summits. Okay, which is basically the same thing as a podcast. But what you're doing is you're creating a product for sale that is tied to that interview, which is buying all the interviews in the summit is usually the product. And then you get... and it's... The strategy has been the tactic of doing a summit has gotten watered down. I mean, we were talking about this 5 years ago. You could probably go out there and just absolutely obliterate the whole niche of recovering from alcoholism in your space. But it's something to think about, because you can create, and it may not pertain to running sober. It may be hard to put together an awesome alcohol recovery summit and have it blow up huge, because it is a very niche type of subject. And it's not a particularly, it's not a particularly fun one either. I mean, obviously recovering is fun, but it's a really hard thing for people to face, as you know. Yeah. If you would have seen some recovering from, Get Sober Summit 3 years ago, you probably wouldn't have been very interested in it, even though you might have needed it really bad. Yeah, the Sober Summit.
Yeah, well, the Sober Summit. Well, that's the interesting thing, too, is that and this, for me, it's something, because I have other ideas that I think are going to be better for, online and marketing and all that stuff. And this, like I said, is a passion thing. And also, it's something I'm motivated to do that's blowing through all the fear of having to, just doing all this shit it's hard to, there's a lot of limitations in my head, and I can't do that. I'm not worth, all this crap. And it's like the motivation to do this is showing me that, hey, I can do this. And once I learn how to podcast and put all the files together and create all the stuff, it's becoming easier. And my whole point is that this whole thing is a vehicle for me to learn and put myself out there, which is great, and I hope it continues. And I don't know how successful it's going to be as far as monetizing and all that stuff, but it will put my word out, my message out there, and me out there. And I have some other things I want to try down the road once I open the door a little bit with this. And I don't know if that's worth discussing here, but I just wanted to put that out there just so you kind of know where my mindset's at and see what you think.
Well, think about it like this too. I just want you to just think about this, ponder this, okay? Because to me, monetizing
Yeah.
is the greatest vehicle for getting it out there.
Well,
right?
Gotcha.
Right? Because
you
start making money, you start getting subscribers, you attach, you treat it like a business, which can be hard for somebody who's really passionate about something. I refuse to look at my first website like a business, and it cost me many years of not reaching people in very high numbers because I wasn't thinking about it like that. Okay? So it's a great vehicle because if you're getting revenue and you've got some real metrics, you're looking at it like a business, you're seeing how much affiliate income you're making and revenue per subscriber, and maybe you have a little something for sale like a book. Maybe you offer coaching for people and you get a one-on-one. You seem like a really personable, fun guy. People are going to be, a certain small percentage of people are going to be really magnetized to you, and they'll want some of your juju because you're going to be overflowing, spilling over with passion and really trying to inspire people to achieve what you've achieved. And you're funny and approachable, and people are going to want one-on-one coaching for you if you're at all successful. I guarantee it.
Cool.
And you might increase your revenue per subscriber by a factor of 10 by offering coaching. So it's important to have those things, because if you're making money from coaching and that podcast is helping people bring them in, you can hire an assistant, you can do so many things, you can start to, you can write a Kindle book, but not have to worry about all the other garbage that goes along with publishing it, because you can sort of delegate that to one of your team members, and you can build a real business. And that monetizing and creating, several ways of earning revenue off of the followers that you're gathering, that just brings so much firepower and gasoline to your ability to go out and reach people and expand. And that's the whole point. I know you want it. I know it's fun for you personally just to be spending your time doing this because it's you're passionate about it. It beats the hell out of hammering nails and whatever else you could be doing that doesn't feel purpose driven.
Right.
But the real end point, I know you want to reach a lot of people and you want to have the satisfaction of seeing other people undergo the same transformation that you underwent, and there's no better feeling than that. But money and monetizing your website is a huge vehicle for doing that. And it doesn't have to be sleazy, spammy at all. And in fact, if you keep your sense of humor, the worst thing you could do is be Mr. Adam Bailey, Mr. Funny Guy, and then all of a sudden you start talking about selling your coaching program to people, and all of a sudden you start writing like a copywriter. Right. It would just be horrible. It would be cringeworthy. And so if you stay true to yourself and you always write with the same tone, you're always funny. I use that tactic all the time. I'll be right in the middle of what sounds like a sales pitch, and then I'll make a joke or make fun of the product. Are you familiar with the guy that runs meh.com?
No.
Have you been there?
Not
you
yet.
got to check this guy out. This guy is like Buck Flogging on steroids, right?
Oh, wow.
It's just meh.com, meh.com.
Sounds
but
great.
You're going to be sounds a little meh, but you will love the sense of humor on this site and the way the artistry in the non-sales pitch form of selling.
Right.
Cool. It's just this guy's a legend, and he sold his first company where he did this, Woot.com, for $100 million. Amazon bought him.
Oh, I remember Woot.
Yeah.
Okay. I know.
Same guy just started Meh, and Meh is like 100 times more ridiculous than Woot ever was.
Awesome.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
and
I remember
fun.
that guy.
Yeah, and I think you can be fun like that, and I think people would love to sign up for coaching. And you don't have to feel like you're this amazing expert. People aren't paying you for the expertise as much as they're paying for the inspiration
Right.
And getting them in the positive mindset, they need that sort of reboot of positivity.
Right.
And you provide that to them. You provide counsel, and you can be that endless wellspring of excitement and positivity, and making them believe that they can do it, and relating to their challenges and saying, yeah, I remember when I did that too. It's no big deal. You can recover from that. I mean, you can rebound. You can this, you can that. I think there's really tremendous value in that. And I think your podcast, your books, anything that you do will be, really well supported by you getting some money with some coaching.
So what you're telling me is, and what I'm hearing is that I need, because I have this thing with, I've got this huge ego and a very low self-esteem. So, which is always combating each other. And I don't want to look at it like, well, I can't look at it like I'm going to make money from it because it takes away from it. What you're saying is that I can look at it like a business, and I need to, and it helps a lot to hear you say that because it totally makes sense. If I don't look at it as a business and that's something that I can monetize, and I would love to coach people, however that would work out. If that made, it would be fun anyways. But to make this something I can do for a living would be great, and then not have to count on it being a stepping stone to a real project. So I just wanted to clarify that because it kind of my thinking's a little screwy as far as the business model goes, and I think you helped me out a lot there.
Well, we're just talking about one thing. This is just one idea we had on one short call, and the idea we're talking about is coaching. Now, it could take so many different forms. What I want you to make sure that you do is, I say thinking like a business, but I do want you to be absolutely pure and true to your cause. And I was always like that. I wouldn't discourage anyone from being like that. But it's awfully nice to have a system that supports you. So, because that money that you get in is going to be so helpful to you, and it's just going to help you reach more people, and help people on a bigger and bigger scale. And coaching is just a way for you to make some money, so you don't have to do anything else but help people with this.
That's awesome. So is there any takeaways I can, where would I go for? I mean, I don't know if you're going to do that anyways, but I'm really anxious to get started. I mean, I'm going to do the whole the Quit in 6 course too, and so I'm just wondering if I was to, where should I go for more direction on what I should do? Just any tips or ideas?
Well, I mean, I'm here to help you out. I mean, I'm forging strong relationships with people and helping out in any way I can. Now, what I'm doing right now, we're trying to build a lot of resources to help people. So, as you know, you're one of the first to know about Course Cowboy. Course Cowboy being the e-course promotion site. So, people who are creating e-courses, boom, we got you covered. We got a place where you can promote that. You got a book? Hey, we got a publishing company and a book promotion service. We're also we're also working on creating a giveaway site, and we're just compiling all these resources and getting to a point. I just got off the phone too this afternoon with my graphics guy, and he's working on creating a way for people to get websites created for under $100 with custom graphics and everything. It's sick. So what we're trying to do is create like this incredible set of resources. And then at some point, we're going to launch some kind of course and trim the tribe, so to speak, so that we can deliver this kind of quality to people. I mean, I want to be having one-on-one conversations, and I can't do it with everybody. But, the door's open. I mean, you can communicate with me as long as I can handle the overflow. Because obviously the number of people who are going to want to speak with me and communicate with me is going to keep growing and growing. But up until that point, I mean, you got me. I'm all ears, and I'm ready to help. And
right on, man.
Yeah, I just one simple thing, like I said, like one simple thing, like adding coaching to your overall game plan could change everything, and it takes all the pressure off and Could be a lot of fun. You could even do it by donation, you know? I mean, honestly,
Right.
if this call wasn't recorded and you just found me at Quitting Six and you read my book and I said, "Hey man, I'll help you out." And we did a phone call and I'm doing the absolute best that I can do to try to give you some information that's going to help you. I mean, would you honestly compensate me? I mean, I'm not asking you for money for real, but if it was set up donation only or something like that, I mean, you'd probably drop me a little bit of money for that.
Hell yeah! And I love that example of your friend with the photographer. I mean, that was awesome in your book. Same kind of thing. But yeah. I would totally compensate. I totally see where you're coming from. So that I mean, to help.
Exactly. I mean, I'm not going to do this. Yeah. I could, but I could talk to people like you all day long, and I could never ask for any money, and people would probably be, you know, stumbling over themselves to try to pay me money. I mean, they'd be begging to pay me. Because it's just, people want to compensate you when you give them value. It's like a law of the universe. There's a disturbance in the force until someone has been repaid for that. But, you know, your payment is letting me record this so I can build some excellent podcasting fodder out of this. And we can put this on iTunes and, you know, later.
And I don't have a lot of cash, so I'd be washing your car or doing your dishes or something. But yeah, I get it. For sure, man.
So anyway, think about that. It doesn't have to be salesy. It doesn't have to be spammy. I was talking to Karina the other day, who I mentioned in the book, and she laughed and she said, "Yeah, I read your book, and you're right. I don't like the word business." And you know, I get that. You know, if you're just really pure and genuine, you will be successful. I really believe that. But you can't talk your way. You can't, you know, leave every opportunity on the table. I mean, you really need some clear-cut way for people to get into communication with you, benefit from some premium experience of speaking with you one-on-one, and compensate you for it. And it makes it all worthwhile. Money is important. It's so great. Doing what you love is like the best thing in the world, and the only thing that's better is getting paid to do what you love, to where you don't have to do anything else other than do what you love all the time. That's the end goal, and I don't know. I see it clearly. I see it clearly for you, and I'll be here to help. So
cool. I appreciate it, Buck.
No problem, bro. Talk to you soon, and good luck.
Right.
I'll be there for you, buddy. All right.
Yeah, I'll be stalking you on Facebook and everywhere else, so I'll see you around. Thanks for the call.
Yeah, no problem, man. Take care. All right. Bye.
That's all for today's episode, but you can go back and get 4 free books plus an unfathomable shitload of free resources and insider information at quittin6.com. Go register there now at quit6.com.
Here we go.